Chris and Dan show. We are back with the one and only Dr. Joe. How's
Oh,
it
there
going,
he
Dr. Joe?
is.
How are you doing?
Oh, all right. I had to figure out how to do this from the tablet, but I figured it out. So
Well, I mean, I watched a little bit of shameless promo. Chris and I help Dr. Joe with his channel, the Dr. Joe Show. Uh, we both fill in as co-hosts. Me in person, Chris remotely, and that was a good one. I saw maybe 10, 15 minutes of it so far.
Super interesting for anybody who's interested in COVID, fluoride,
And while it was not
and what to eat. Sorry,
and what to eat,
three main topics.
I got that part where Dr. Joe gets into the vitamin D and then the vitamin K and tells you, well, if you're on warfarin, don't do it. And then Chris says, not medical advice. Hold on, real quick. So, Chris, this was not appropriate for Dr. Joe show. Chris, very good call on that one. Very good executive decision not to ask on Dr. Joe's show, but on Chris and Dan's show,
Everything goes.
we are so dumb we are uncancelable. So ask away. Ask Dr. Joe anything you wanted. You wish you could have asked on the Dr. Joe show, but we actually take that channel seriously, so we won't. But this one we don't.
So either Dan or I will link the Dr. Joe show.
Yeah, underneath
in the video.
Go get it. Click on it. Like that's being serious. On this one, Dr. Joe's gonna have more fun. But on that one, he's being serious, and we have fun on that one too. Omega-6 shrinks your balls.
And we're not trying to go too conspiratorial.
Chris loves the conspiracies. So go ahead, Chris. Ask away, man.
So I held back on 3 questions the whole time. My tongue almost started bleeding. So, I wanted to ask, and I don't know, Dr. Joe, are you a Christian, or would you consider yourself to believe in the Bible?
I would say I'm a Christian. Sure.
Okay. So that opens up the next question. So it's believed that COVID was gain of function, right? You agree with that, right? It was developed as a gain of function.
Yeah, gain of function. One of my mentors says the virus was bioweapon 1. The stinger was bioweapon number 2.
What's meant by the stinger?
The thing that we can't say on a lot of platforms.
Oh, okay, got it.
All right.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So
kind of like a job, but another vowel in the middle.
I was gonna say, so that actually kind of detracts from what I was gonna say, but I was gonna say, if it is a bioweapon, it was a poorly designed bioweapon. But what you're saying is that actually was exactly as intended, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because 3/4 of the world, at least,
got the vaccine,
was duped into doing one thing once, and then another significant percentage of the world did that first thing a second time, at least.
Okay, sorry, I said the word.
And
our show's uncancelable, man. No one takes us seriously.
So. I know.
So that leads me to my first question. So in Revelation, it calls for 1/3 of the world to die through pestilence. Any possibility in your mind?
War and pestilence.
War and pestilence. So that's approximately 2.5, 2.75 trillion people, or billion people, excuse me, not a trillion. So that's a lot of people, right?
Well, if you nuke everybody's immune systems by making them overproduce IgG4,
yeah,
and everybody gets what represents a monogammopathy of undetermined significance, all those people will eventually end up immunosuppressed with congested bloodstreams, and they'll get all the sequela of those types of diseases, and it's all immunosuppression, blood viscosity problems, and it could mean blood clots. I mean, we've already seen a lot of the acute issues from receiving these things, and now this IgG4 discussion, which cannot be denied, it's so undeniable it can't be censored because it's just in everybody's face. It's already peer reviewed. That I think that is the hint of what's coming next. And the people who got more of these things are going to be in the most trouble. I would just, this is just conjecture, but yeah. So that's the pestilence side, because if you're immunosuppressed, now all the old diseases are going to make a comeback. Like, people are talking about leprosy springing up. And then there was that terribly unfortunate, that poor woman in, I think it was California. She ate tilapia and she got the Vibrio vulnificus infection. She lost all of her limbs. Now, I don't know if that case is related to this topic, but I do imagine weird infections that we haven't seen in a while coming back, and just overwhelming parts of us.
Specifically because of mRNA, or
specifically because of immunosuppression, as a result of very poor decisions that were made on a global scale.
Okay, and just to tie this back to my initial thoughts. So for those watching this 14 years from now, Israel was just attacked and lost the most people in an incident since the Holocaust. So I don't know. Seems kind of biblical to a degree.
Well, I would say Israel let themselves be attacked, but that's another podcast.
There's when you're in charge of a country, you're about as good as your support team is, right? Because you can't do it alone. So if you have if you have a bunch of people around you misleading you, misinforming you, and you think you can trust them and you can't trust them, then
it'll certainly be problematic, wouldn't it?
So
same thing with people taking the job.
Yeah,
the job.
Hey, this is a great job. I've heard all these things about it. I got to get this job in order to travel. I gotta get this job in order to buy groceries.
I gotta get this job to keep my job.
Exactly, that's where I was going.
And taking this job, it's really advisable for my health, right? It's a good job.
Yeah.
So do a good job.
Dr.
And if you don't get the job, you're killing grandma and grandpa. Don't forget.
And you're selfish.
Yeah, you're selfish. You're killing grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I mean, I tend to not be conspiratorial.
Well, that's where I wanted to go. Sorry.
Well, Rule by Secrecy was like one of my favorite books by Jim Marrs in college. That's when I first started getting into this.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
He was like the predecessor to Alex Jones, but before YouTube and podcasts, he just wrote books.
Yeah,
the old-fashioned way.
He was out there, man. But yeah.
Yep, Rule by Secrecy, but it's like made more sense than what they taught me in school.
Him and Bill Cooper, right? Bill
Cooper
predicted 9/11 in June of 2001, and then he was gunned down by local sheriff deputies that were sent by the FBI because there was some conjecture that he committed tax fraud, and he brandished a gun while on his property, and then they went after him. That was Bill Cooper.
Yeah, so now they're doing it to presidential candidates and
YouTube hosts.
Oh, YouTube hosts, except us. I mean,
I'm talking specifically about Russell Brand.
Oh, Russell Brand, yeah. What happened to that though? He got off, or
I don't know. It's kind of disappeared. They still haven't charged him with anything. It's just stuff to tear him down.
Yeah, Andrew Tate too, but I think Andrew Tate had a lot coming his way.
Well, Russell Brand was always forthright that he was not a good person.
Right.
15 years ago, and he's completely changed his life. He said that in his book. He said it a number of times.
Right, as opposed to Andrew Tate, who's like a ultimate self-help guru, and he could do no wrong.
Yeah, but he vividly states this is all lies. What's being said about him now. It doesn't mean it's not true, but if you're not bringing charges, it certainly is not true, at least in my mind.
Well, anyways, boys, you want to like lighten up the mood a little, or you still have more questions for Dr. Joe?
No.
This is like the After Dark. This is like Dr. Joe After Dark.
It would have been interesting to get Dr. Razchek's opinion on those things, but
I wish I could have been on that, man,
But not appropriate, right, Dr. Joe? Don't ask those kind of questions.
Well, we're still in a weird place with with censorship of open discussion, open discourse,
Unfortunately.
and we have to take precautions in order to keep platforms alive. Not for any other reason other than we need to maintain operation capacity. Because you get shut down, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you can't transmit your message anymore the way you
I agree.
did before. So, people say, "Oh, you're self-censoring." No, I'm transmitting a message, and you need to figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, that's your problem. So,
no, I completely agree.
But yeah, I think it was great. I mean, I wasn't expecting to be so captivated. I mean, I was looking at the time. I was sitting in this chair for like almost 4 hours, and
I know you were. I was in mine for 3.
I didn't even feel it. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm glad I set aside time. But wow, I mean, we got to get him back on. And I need to review some of those articles he told me to review, because it's just completely off the wall stuff. I mean, just totally stuff I like. Talking about how fluoride interferes with iodine absorption. I mean, I never thought of that. I never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Mitochondrial donation. Having mitochondria from multiple maternal sources. I mean, that's amazing. Anyway.
Yeah, I found that iodine. Well, I asked, and I know you guys were busy a little bit higher level than what I was asking, but what do you use? Because you said you don't use toothpaste with fluoride. So what do you use?
There's a bunch of brands that have
Tom's.
Tom's is the most well-known one. There's another one called Himalaya something. It's something Himalaya. It's got like orange and white packaging. There's a bunch of brands that you can find.
So it's helpful in removing plaque and tartar and all that, like supposed fluoride toothpaste is.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's kind of arbitrary, because if you try to eat a healthy, clean diet, and if you eat foods that don't promote more tooth decay, then you're also going to be protecting yourself from that perspective.
True.
Like, if you eat probiotic yogurt, if you make your own yogurt like I do, if you bite into an apple every night.
What? You make your own yogurt, like from scratch, from milk?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. All right, interesting.
You get the milk, you heat it up, you let it cool down, you add your starter, you close it up, you cover it with towels, you come back a day later, you got yogurt.
When do you sleep?
I actually just woke up.